This is a powerful, powerful message from Jordan B. Peterson. Now, it's titled A Powerful Message for Young Men, and I do agree. And when I go through this clip that I'm about to play, I am going to be pausing it, and I am going to be explaining a little more about certain things that he says, especially at the beginning. The reason that I'm doing that is because there are a bunch of men, and there will be a bunch of men, young men, who will stumble onto my channel before they stumble onto Jordan Peterson's channel because my demographic is younger. So I want to be able to have them understand exactly why Dr. Peterson is saying what he's saying, because they may not delve into his work the way that I do. So if you're here for the full clip uninterrupted, too bad. Now, let's get into it.
Arm yourself with words. Be precise in your language. Right? Say what you mean. Read great men and great women.
Now, why would you arm yourself with words? It's not just so you sound smart. A lot of people think that they get into expanding their vocabulary so they can just sound smart. That's not the reason why. It's so you can understand the world on a deeper level. I made a video about this before. You may deal with somebody throughout your whole life, and then all of a sudden you learn what the word narcissist means. And then all of a sudden you're like, I understand who I'm dealing with. And then you look into how to deal with a narcissist, because now you have a little bit more information about what you've been dealing with for some time in your life. And now all of a sudden you get this full scale thing of how to actually deal with them. So as you expand your vocabulary, as you arm yourself with words, you start to understand the world around you a lot more. Not to mention when you actually have to get into a debate with somebody, when you have to speak with somebody, if you're armed with words, because not every confrontation you have, actually more often than not, the confrontations you have will not get to violence. So you can't just be armed with violence. You have to be armed with words first. And as men, if all else fails and the disrespect is too high and your boundaries are being smashed and kicked around, you can now step into violence. If you see fit, if the situation calls for it, not just because you're not winning a debate, but if you've been trampled on, you're being disrespected, you're being pushed and pushed and pushed. Now it's time. And you'll know when that time comes. Or maybe you won't. But the more that you're armed with words, the less likelihood that time of resorting to violence will come. So that's why he says arm yourself with words. He says to read. The reason that you read is because it becomes easier to arm yourself with words. You're expanding your vocabulary, again, not for the purpose of just sounding smart and sounding cool, like a lot of people tend to do. It's for the purpose of understanding the world more. Not just understanding the world through vocabulary, but also through other people's perspectives. The more you read, the more you become open to other people's perspectives. And then when you're actually in front of an actual person, you will be more open to their perspective. You will be able to hear what they have to say a lot easier, take it in, and because you're armed with words, you'll be able to argue if argument needs to be had. And also, if you're very well read, those perspectives that you have been taking in now also become part of your intellectual arsenal. So now you understand things better. You're more equipped to deal with a wide range of discussions. So just reading, arming yourself with words, so important.
Make yourself literate. Get your tongue in order. Get it under your own control. Get rid of the ums and the likes and the you knows and the pauses, and get rid of everything you say that you only say to impress other people.
That's beautiful. So get literate. So that's in the sense of being able to read. That's in the sense of being able to write. It's not just being able to read, but it's also in the sense of being able to write. And again, whoever's watching this, if you don't delve into Dr. Peterson's stuff, I encourage you, please, link in the description to the full video. That will link you to his YouTube channel, and that will link you to a well of knowledge that I couldn't even begin to explain to you. It absolutely has changed my life, the way that I speak, the way that I read every day, and I've also taken up to writing. It's essential. Not just those things, but listening to this man is essential. You don't have to take in every single ideology that he has, but the information that he makes available for free is invaluable. So, again, he says, get your tongue in order. That goes right back to what I was saying before. Your tongue is in order. You're well read. You're armed with words. Now you're a force. Now, if you're in debate with somebody, you are going to be dangerous. You are going to be, as Dr. Peterson refers to, as a monster, right? You're going to be able to have back and forths with people. You're well read, so you have other people's perspectives in your arsenal. You're well read, so you have all these words, this vocabulary in your arsenal. And now you can take those thoughts as well as your own, and you can now attack, for lack of a better word. Not actually attack, but in a back and forth. You're going to be a lot sharper. Your tongue's going to be like a sword, and your mind's going to be like a trained fencer, like a samurai. So essential. And now from here on out, I'm not going to interrupt. Let's go.
And just see if you can say what you believe to be true. That's an adventure. That's the thing about the truth, you know? If you aren't speaking the truth, well, you got to ask yourself, if you're not speaking the truth, who is it that's talking? If you're saying something that you do not believe to be true, it's not you talking. It's something else. It might be the part of you that wants to manipulate the other person into delivering what you think you want from them. Well, what is that spirit of manipulation that you've allowed to possess you? It's not you. Let's say you decide to live your whole life in that instrumental manner. You're going to craft your words like the student who says, well, I'm going to write what the professor wants to hear so I get the grade. It's like, well, you just turn yourself into that. Well, who is it that's doing that manipulating? It's not you, because those aren't your words. So even if you get the grade, it's not you that got the grade. It's the false you. It's the manipulative you. So you do that your whole life. You don't have your life. And then you think, well, God, that was a miserable life. I manipulated everybody. They were so damn stupid. They were sucked in by it. They're all contemptible. Everyone does it, you know, which they don't, by the way. And so that's a pathway to bitterness. Partly because if you're a manipulator and you use your language falsely, you don't live your own life. You live the life of whatever possesses you when you think it's you manipulating. And so you live the life of the spirit of manipulation. And there's no difference between that in some fundamental sense and demonic possession. So.
Oh, man. This is the last thing that I've been working on myself for the past few years, is saying what I know to be true. As a content creator, and as the temperatures rise in terms of what's acceptable to say and what's not, it becomes so hard to just say what you know to be true. Because sometimes it's like you think of something to say and you're like, oh, well, that will get censored, or that won't get pushed through the algorithm, or that won't get any views. Like it's like even this, like what I'm doing right now. It's like it may not get any views, but I know that this is important, and I know what I'm saying right now is true. I know that this is a true concept. People should be exposed to his work. I should explain further for the people who are who are subscribed to my channel. I know I should be doing this, but then also there's a fear there of like, what's going to happen? How's it going to be perceived? And obviously I'm doing it, so I'm over it, but I do still have that. There's that layer of fear of what's going to happen. And I think as men, that's something that we have to do away with. And the way that you do away with it is not just by what I'm doing, but by examples that you see in the world, such as Dr. Peterson, such as Joe Rogan, such as Jocko, such as David Goggins, such as every man you see who's just speaking his complete truth, just unfiltered. And when I say unfiltered, truth unfiltered, not words unfiltered. Because again, if you're equipped with words, you're going to use the right words to get your point across. So not belligerent and blunt and people who always want to be brutally honest. So they use all sorts of flippant words and they don't really care how they come off as they're speaking. Not that. Unfiltered truth of what you know to be true. Every man should have that in this arsenal that I've been talking about. Because when you can say what's completely true, that will be linked to your integrity. So every time you speak, there'll be integrity connected to what you have to say. And that is where you want to be. And I do that. And it's hard. And there's navigating to do as you do it. But it's essential to do. Like you have to do it. You know, I used to have a friend, and anytime he got disrespected, it was bad, but it was also good because he had a lot of integrity. But anytime he felt like he was disrespected, he would go home and he would say, I can't sleep at night when someone disrespects me. Now, his protocol or his parameters for what was disrespect was very thin. So it wasn't that good. And the way that he would deal with disrespect was actually, it was wild. It was violent. It was too much. If he was armed with words and people's perspectives and very literate, he wasn't illiterate, but if he was more literate in the way that he could deal with things, if he understood more perspectives in life, he could have been dangerous in that way, but he knew violence very well. So when he was disrespected, he couldn't sleep, genuinely couldn't sleep, could not go to bed, couldn't get over it, to the point where he would go back to wherever he was, where the encounter happened, and find the person. He could get in trouble. You could get in trouble doing this kind of thing. But the reason I bring that up is because that sense of urgency to uphold his integrity and respect is something that all men should have. Maybe not to that degree and not to the way that he decided to handle things, but you should have that type of intensity towards it. But don't use it to go back to where you were and find somebody that disrespected you. Use it so you have more urgency towards reading, towards mastering your tongue, towards getting very literate. You know? Like I try to read every single day, and I read out loud because I want to work on my speaking voice as well as my vocabulary, as well as taking in other people's perspectives. Like I want to work on all of it at the same time. And I have a goal to be a father who reads for his kids, and I read out loud, and I want to do all the silly voices and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a short video. The link is in the description. I didn't even start it right at the beginning. I started it halfway through. If you're a young man or even a woman, anybody, because what he's talking about is linked very much to integrity, and everybody should have integrity. I urge you, go and click the link and just look at what he has to say, and then challenge yourself to go a step further and click onto his YouTube channel and see what else he has to say. Just thing by thing, little bits. Find the shortest video and just take it in. That's it. I'm out.